at Austin. Currently, he holds the position of Chief Data Scientist at the Center of Excellence in AI/ML at Reliance Jio. He is also a visiting faculty for machine learning at Indian School of Business and program mentor for the AIDS program at the Jio Institute of Eminence. Prior to this, he worked as distinguished scientist at Ola Cabs, chief scientist and co-founder of Third Leaf, an edtech startup, researcher in the Google Brain team, senior scientist at Yahoo Labs, and principal scientist at Fair Isaac Research. He has a total of 20 years of experience in building AI solutions in a variety of domains, including web retail, finance, remote sensing, fleet management, computer vision, knowledge graph, and conversational computing. He has published over 20 international papers and book chapters and holds more than 20 patents in AI and ML. He was recognized as one of the top 10 data scientists in India in 2015 and top 10 most influential analytics leaders in India in 2020 by Analytics India magazine. Also, he has been practicing heartfulness meditation since 1996 and he has been a heartfulness trainer since 2013. Now I request Dr. Shailesh Kumar sir to start the session.
Thank you, Soumya, for inviting me. Thank you, everyone, for conducting this very important sessions on AI, and it's a very nice emerging field, and we all understand the importance of it. And it's great to see a lot of action in various colleges and all that. So. Normally I talk about AI and how AI is applied in different verticals and all of that. But this session is going to be very different. We are not going to talk about AI. We are going to talk about something different, which is what we call, heartfulness meditation. Huh? I just want to, I think I've shared my screen. No, you can see my screen, right? So, so this is going to be a non-technical discussion. And I'm going to try to connect this to what the context of this seminar is, which is artificial intelligence. And hopefully you will understand that, as I look at my own journey since I started my PhD work in AI 20 years ago, I also started practicing heartfulness meditation 20 years ago. And together, these two things really helped me kind of become a better person, a more intuitive person, a more empathetic person, and it has really helped me in my both outer career and inner growth, if you will, right? So this is an important topic in the context of technology. How do we think about self-development also in the context of technology? And today we talk about AI in ethics in AI and all of that, but ethics is not going to come because we have created regulations on privacy. Ethics is not going to come because it is enforced by a legal structure. Ethics will come because as humans we have become more ethical, right? And as I look at the last 20 years of the journey of human race, I think we have made a lot of progress in our external journey, right? We have become better at bringing and developing new technologies like AI. We have become very good at improving our systems, in learning and teaching methods, in communication methods, in transportation methods. So I think mankind has made a lot of progress in external technologies and external ways of working. Uh, but what we have sacrificed in the midst of all this is our internal development, right? And there are no courses on internal development, while there are a lot of courses on external development, whether it is communication skills or technical skills or dance and music. They are all external development, but we are not doing enough on inner development. And I think that is creating a very big imbalance in the human as an individual, in our families, in our societies. And therefore I thought this is a very important topic, especially our teachers, if they start picking it up and spread it to the students, that while we are learning all these technical things about the external world, we need to learn a lot about our internal world as well, right? And hopefully that sets the context of why we are doing this as part of this seminar. Yeah. So if you want to learn about my views on AI, there are a lot of talks I have given. There are YouTube videos on my LinkedIn. You can do that, or I can come at some other time and talk about AI also. But today I just want to focus on heartfulness meditation. So let me start with a very basic question, right? And we want to keep it very interactive. So please feel free to unmute and speak up. So let me ask this question, which is, what is your favorite subject? We are all here doing AI, maybe we studied maths or statistics or programming or computing, but maybe we did that because somebody else told us to do it. But truly, if you look within, what is it that you would really have picked up as your favorite subject? Any thoughts? Anybody? Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir, we are hearing.
Yeah, yeah. Please, let's keep it interactive because this is not a one-way topic. I'm going to learn something from you and vice versa. So hopefully, please feel free. There are no wrong answers. Uh,
Dear participants, please respond. Question.
all right. So, I'm sure we are all here because we love what we do as a subject. And, some of us are interested in art and music. Some of us are interested in languages and literature. Some of us are interested in history, apart from our main subject, right? And some of us are interested in computing and AI, and all these are great subjects, right? Now, let me chime into a puzzle now, right? So let me talk about, there is one subject that we all like. All of us on this call, everybody in the world likes that one subject. And we like that subject since the day we are born. And we like that subject till our last day on this planet. Can anybody think of what that subject is? So what is the subject that is universal to all of us? And we like it since the first day and till the last day. We just love that subject. Any thoughts? Yeah, this is a philosophy question, so there are again no wrong answers. Anybody? Are audience able to unmute? Anyone? No. So basically, if I think about that subject, right? So uh, I think of that subject as the self itself, right? So the idea is there is a subject called the self. And the reason why we like history is not because of history, but because we like ourselves and our place in time. Therefore, we like history. We don't like physics because physics is important, but we like physics because it tells us how I operate in this world in the physical sense, right? I like biology because biology is not interesting, but because I want to know how my body is built and how the plants and trees and everything else is built, right? I like geography not because geography is interesting, but because I like myself. Therefore, I like to know where I am in this world, right? Which country, which state, and all that. And I like AI, especially AI, because AI is not about building some other tools out there and learning something out there. But the true genesis of AI is again because I want to learn how my mind works. So this subject of the self is a very important subject. And as we are born as babies, we start to explore ourselves first. Oh, this is my hand, this is my mother, these are my toys, this is my house, these are my hobbies, this I don't like, this I like. So really the I that we explore throughout our life is our first and the last subject. And because that subject is interesting, every other subject is interesting, right? So uh, so that is the subject that we tend to ignore when we go to schools and colleges. We start getting into the other subjects, right? The subjects of to get a job or to make a money or to do a startup or whatever, right? To publish a paper. We start to talk about other subjects and we forget this ultimate subject, which is the subject of the self. So today I just want to talk about this subject of the self, which is a very important subject, right? Now, if we look at ourselves, there are two very important faculties that we have that drive us in our daily lives, right? So one faculty is our heart and one faculty is our mind. And these are the two very powerful instruments that humans have, all life forms have, but humans have in a very exaggerated way. And when we talk about subjects like AI and intelligence and all that, we talk about the mind. But there is another subject called the heart, which is even more powerful, right? So there are books published on, for example, the heart's code, which talks about how powerful and important heart is, not as a pumping station, but as an important, spiritual organ of our body, right? So if I look at these two very powerful instruments that we are born with, right? So one is the center of feeling, one is the center of thinking, right? Uh, and all this intelligence that we have, which is about our ability to learn, our ability to understand, our ability to think, our ability to create, our ability to understand languages, images, speech, genomics data, what have you. All this source of intelligence is within us in the form of our mind, and therefore we are able to create the great human civilization that we have, right? But if you look at the deeper aspects of ourselves, right? If you think about where does the true intuition come from? Where does the true wisdom come from? It doesn't come from the mind. It comes from somewhere else, deeper within, right? And that is where the heart-centric self is becoming important, right? Our mind is really our front end to the world, right? It is to the external world. So if you think about how we operate in the external world, if you think about AI systems, for example, we have an ability to perceive the world, we have to think about it, we have to act in that world. So we think of mind as an instrument of connecting us to the outer world. But heart is an instrument to connect us to our inner world, right? And that is the key conundrum that we need to think about, which is, what are these two instruments? What role do they play in our being, in the self? And what are we doing to develop these instruments, right? Uh, and my favorite thing about the mind and the heart is the mind can answer any question around, can I do it? How can I do it? How can I go to the moon? How can I destroy 1 million people in a city with a nuclear bomb? How can I rob a bank? How can I win a Nobel Prize? How can I clean the environment? Right? So we can ask the can I question to the mind, and the mind is capable enough to be able to figure it out. Right? But the more important question than a can I do it question is a should I do it question. Right? And that question the mind doesn't know how to answer. And the mind refers to the heart and says, heart, you tell me whether I should do it or not. And this is a very important debate that needs to happen, that should I do it is a more important question. We are teaching our students and ourselves as we become technologists and all of that, how to do things, right? Today in AI, we have created, for example, deep fake to create any kind of video in anybody's face and voice. Should I do it? Can I do it? Right? Today we have started invading people's privacy in the name of AI and personalization. Can I do it? Yes. Should I do it? No. Right? Today we are building weapons using AI, uh, drones and all that. Can I do it? Yes. Should I do it? Right? So I think this fundamental debate is not happening, and as technologists, we shy away from such things. But those things become more important as we see, what big companies are able to do. And we need to therefore develop the second half of ourselves in our education systems, in ourselves. While we spend so much time, money, effort, systems in developing our minds, what are we doing to develop our hearts? And that is where the problem is. We ask for leaders with a lot of empathy when they are in the 40s and 50s. Where are we going to get that empathy? Empathy is not a topic of the mind, right? We want to be compassionate human beings. We want to have wisdom about life and all of that, right? We want to be connected from within. All these things are not taught to us, right? We just pick it up randomly here and there by chance. But the way we are taught maths and physics and chemistry and AI, we are not taught these deeper subjects. And that is one of the problems with uh, our systems of education, that we are looking at only one-sided development, and we are creating human beings that are uh, not as much heart-centered as they are mind-centered. Right. So this is the real motivation why it helped me become a more balanced person in the last 20 years. Right. So in order for us to kind of realize our full potential, right? Obviously, when I ask people, no, who are you? What do you do? Everybody talks about their resume. They said these are my worldly accomplishment. My worldly accomplishments were read before you earlier. Awards and education and this and that. But that is not the real me, right? The real person is deep down, right? And I think if we look at a tree, what we see outside is the fruit of the tree, but the real tree is in the roots, right? And the problem in that needs to be solved is, how do we not only focus on our outer development of career, experience, skills, education, talent, hobbies, but deeper things like our character, our attitude, our personality, our belief systems, our value system, and all that is coming out of our inner self, right? And I think a holistic education system and a holistic development of a person is possible only when we combine these two things together, right? So in every institute now, heartfulness and many other systems of meditation are going and talking about this explicitly and openly, because this is a neglected topic which needs to be brought back. Otherwise, we are going to create, our teenagers will become more, depressed with life. They will not know how to handle failures. They'll not build solid relationships with each other. All those other problems will diminish all the benefits we are creating by creating technologies like AI and blockchain and all that, right? So we need to kind of talk about them in the same way, in the same kind of a way that we talked about other things. So this is where the problem statement is. We pay a lot of attention to our worldly outer accomplishments, uh, and but the importance of inner accomplishments is a lot more than the outer accomplishments. Yep. So, so this is the lost art, right? When I see the world today with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, we are all now tuned into looking outside. So I need some piece of wisdom. I will go look outside. I'll ask my friends on Facebook. I'll read online on Google search. I have lost the art of looking within. It's a lost art because we have not practiced it, right? It's like if you don't practice something, it goes away. And that is why inventions are becoming shallower and shallower, because deep inventions need deep intuitions. The Archimedes and the Newtons and the Einsteins of the world, the Hintons of the world, they need deep intuition. Intuition is not going to come from outside. Intuition, it will come from within. So unless we start looking within, and like Swami Vivekananda said, we are the greatest book ourselves, and we are an infinite repository of all that wisdom and knowledge ourselves. And unless this inner teacher opens up, right, the outside teacher is not going to help us, right? So we as teachers, and I teach a lot, and I love to teach all these subjects. And unless that thing can come from within, I can say whatever I want if that understanding has to come from within the student. Now, if I take this to the next level and say your development has to come from within, outside is just a reflection that yes, you understand what is going on, right? Now, my interest in spirituality started long time ago. I grew up in Haridwar, and we used to take people to all these temples in the mountains. And what happened was, I realized that when people come and start to pray before the gods, they close their eyes. So you have come all the way from wherever in India and across the world. You have climbed this mountain. You have come in front of your God, and now you're closing your eyes. And that's when I realized that there is something else about this spiritual journey that we all have to take, right? And I found this very beautiful, couplet in Urdu. It says, "Ulti hi baat karte hain sadhu sant fakir, आंखें मूंदने को कहते हैं दीदार के लिए." Right? So they say that all these great saints of the world, they talk opposite language. They say, close your eyes to have a darshan of God, right? आंखें मूंदने को कहते हैं दीदार के लिए. So this is a very important piece of wisdom, that we have learned the art of looking outside for everything, for happiness, for joy, for for pleasure, for growth, for fulfillment, for love. We have started looking outside for everything, and we have lost the art of looking within. And this art needs to be rekindled in all of us, first ourselves, and then in our students and whoever in our families. And without this art, I think we are only looking at half of the world that we live in. There is the other half that we are not completely looking at. Yeah? So let us ponder about a few questions here, right? So the first question I have is, why do we close our eyes when we pray? And I told you the story that everybody, even a child, when you ask him to pray or her to pray, she will close her eyes, right? Even if there is a figure of God in front of her, we will all close our eyes naturally. What does that say is what you're really praying to is something within, and that is the wisdom of the soul that takes us there, right? Now, if you think about what happens to 1/3 of our life, when we are sleeping, 1/3 of the day, 24 hours, 8 hours, let's say we are sleeping, where do we go? What is our sense of being? What is our sense of purpose? What is our sense of achievement when we are in deep sleep? We don't know. What is our relationship with the people? We don't know. With our body, we don't have a relationship. We are not here. 8 hours of the day means 1/3 of the life we are not here. We are somewhere else. Have we thought about where we are in that 8 hours, right? What happens to us in those 8 hours, right? So there are a lot of biological functions that happen, but there's a lot of mental things that happen. The brain, left brain, right brain activity happen, but there's a lot of spiritual work that also happens, right? And when you have a good sleep, when you have a deep sleep and you wake up, your experience is very different. But when you have a bad sleep, then our experience is very different. So deep sleep is a must, and we don't ponder about these things and say, we need to wonder what happens during that 8 hours, right? And sleep is a universal phenomena. Trees sleep, bees and butterflies sleep, animals sleep, plants sleep. Every life form sleeps. It's a very universal phenomena, right? So what happens in sleep really is, in a way, we go within by force. Nature makes us go within, and we have experienced what happens when we go within. So when we are in deep sleep, really we forget ourselves, the outer self. When we are working, let's say we are teaching a topic and it's becoming very interesting and we are in a flow, that we forget about time, we just go on and on. All of us have experienced this kind of a flow in our work, right? We forget ourselves. When we watch a concert, what happens? the musician gets into a flow, and then the audience get into a flow, and then we are in sync. And then what happens? We are somewhere else. We forget everything. Who we are sitting with, why we are here, how much ticket money we paid. We forget everything. We are completely in flow. And then when the music ends, and then we realize, oh, this is a concert. That is meditation in some sense, right? So, so in a way, meditation is nothing but the art of forgetting ourselves, or to remember our true self, right? Or to think of one thing continuously, uh, and forget everything else, is kind of a sense of meditation, right? So, so obviously we'll experience meditation in a few minutes. We'll do a small session on meditation. But I just want to make sure we understand that, for the longest of time, thousands and thousands of years, our rishis have been talking about this idea of meditation. When the kings and children of kings, the Ramas and all these people used to go, they used to meditate, right? Even today, our schools are starting meditation uh, as a compulsory topic, right? And obviously, our yogic literature talks about meditation in a very elaborate manner. We don't want to go into that detail. It's a very technical subject, but it's also a very experiential subject, right? Uh, and we all understand. We have read all the WhatsApp messages, all the blogs. We have heard all the Astha channels. Everybody talks about meditation and the benefits of it, right? So we all understand at an intuitive level, it's a good thing to do, but we need a system, a proper way of practicing, somebody to nudge us every day to keep going so that we can practice it. And once we practice it, we start to feel the effect of it. And when we start to feel the effect of it, we practice it even more. And this cycle has to be created. And once we do that, I started practicing 20 years ago. Initially, it was hard for me. I thought, what am I doing? I should be studying. I'm wasting my time. But slowly I realized that it has helped me build a very strong connection with the inner self, right? It has kind of uh, helped me, manifest some of these human qualities that are lost inside our, outer qualities, right? We learn a very important quality, which is to become neutral to our circumstances. And today, if you look at how stress builds up in us, how we become anxiety and depressed and worried and angry and all these negative emotions, the only skill that can cut all this in one shot is the art of becoming neutral to circumstances. Whatever is happening is happening. We are just an observer. We are in it. We will do what we need to do. And whatever else we cannot do, automatically will take care of itself. There is nothing beyond that. And we become neutral. So all our good circumstances and bad circumstances will become neutral to them. And this is a very important skill. And if this skill is not taught, then people don't know how to handle success. They become very, weird when they become very rich and famous and successful. We have seen examples of that. And when they become very, in a failure mode, we don't know how to handle failure. So if we learn the art of becoming neutral to our circumstances, it's a far more important skill than any other skill that you can imagine, right? This will uplift the whole human race. Our relationships will start to improve because our relationship with ourselves start to improve first, and therefore our relationships with everybody else starts to improve, with our students, with our family, our spouses, our children, our parents, our in-laws. All our relationships start to improve, not because we are working on those relationships, but because we are working on our relationship with ourselves. So we accept ourselves, we forgive ourselves, we are comfortable with who we are, and therefore we are able to accept and forgive and become comfortable with everybody else. Right? So this is how our relationships improve. Our quality of work starts to improve because our mind is now a lot more focused, because we have trained the mind. We have actually, like we go to gym and we train our muscles to be strong and all that, we have to train our mind, and meditation is one of the ways to train our mind in a certain way. And once we train our mind to focus on one thing for a degree of time, then it becomes a focused mind, and a focused mind can now be focused on anything. And now you can focus on your research, you can focus on your teaching, you can focus on your driving. Everything we do will become more much better, and the quality will improve, right? It automatically will happen, and that everybody talks about this. Our mental and physical health starts to improve. Today, there is a lot of disease burden on the planet, not just from COVID, but a lot of psychosomatic diseases are coming because of all these depressions, right? I did a Facebook post, nobody liked it. In the next 3 minutes, there was no like. I'm depressed. See how shallow our depression has become, right? So, and all the way from there to my relationship with my boss at work, whatever, right? What others think of me. So there's a lot of mental pressure of different kinds that we are all struggling with. We don't talk about it, which is fine, but we know that there's a lot of this clutter that is occupying my mental space. And because of that, we are developing hypertension, cancer, all kinds of diseases, ulcers. They are not physical body related diseases. They are mind generated diseases, right? And if we read about the role of the mind on the body, we will understand that it is the mind where a lot of diseases emerge, including constipation, including, cancer and all of that is a mind related disease, right? So the real thing is we are not addressing that root cause. How do we train our mind to become more open-minded, more unprejudiced, more loving and benevolent? And if we open our mind like that, then a lot of these diseases will automatically go away, right? So it's not about vegetarian food and all that. It's about a healthy mind, right? Which is currently cluttered with all the worries and everything of the day. So how do we undo this damage? So in the heartfulness meditation, we have techniques designed specifically for these kind of things, right? So we have a technique called cleaning, where every day we come home and we basically do a cleaning exercise where we say all the impurities are going out in the form of smoke and vapor. And in that place, divine current is entering our heart and filling that space. So we do this mental exercise to clean ourselves mentally, like we clean ourselves physically when we go to the washroom or take a shower. What is it the equivalent of that mental cleaning? So there's a process called cleaning in heartfulness, which will help us remove all these impressions of the day, right? And that makes you fresh again. You can work all night if you want, and because you have unburdened yourself, right? So there are beautiful techniques that are available to us that we can use for all these things. And the quality of life therefore starts to improve. And most important for me is that I realized that there is another part of me that I had never explored. I had only explored my outer self, right? My relationship with the outside world, my material possessions, my, other things outside. Yes. Hello. Sorry. Can somebody put this on?
21 members.
Hello. Yeah. And then, as a result of all this, we start to balance our what we call the inner growth and the outer growth. And this imbalance is what is a major problem today, right? There are a lot of psychologists, renowned psychologists in the world who are now worried about, COVID, for example, led to a lot of depression and, a lot of problems at home, domestic violence and anxiety. What will happen in the job? Will I get COVID? Just imagine just COVID had done this much damage to our psyche, right? Now, if we develop this, and now, post COVID, we'll go back to our normal world, and again, we'll be, uh, you know, uh, showered with all these expectations from others, judgments and prejudices, and work pressures, and all the stress will build up again, right? In a different way. So if we learn the art of dealing with this, right, of balancing inner growth and outer growth, then I think, at least in my experience and people who meditate, they all talk about this idea that now they are a lot more balanced. They are able to handle the worldly ups and downs, and they know that their true achievements are not in this world. Their true achievement is in some other world, their spiritual growth. And that turning of life in an inner direction is one of the most important things that happens with meditation. All right. So, since I'm talking to a very scientific, intellectual community, I just want to make this very important point. I've thought about this as a scientist, right? I'm a data scientist, chief scientist. So I'm a very scientific, objective person. And I think about meditation in that context, right? And if you look at a scientific process, meditation is one of the most scientific things we will ever do. Most scientific things. And the reason is that we start with this hypothesis about ourselves, that am I a body that contains a soul, or actually I am a soul that is making a journey through this life? It's a very important question, right? And you start with that hypothesis that yes, I have all this body and family and material life and responsibilities in this world. I have all this, but is this why I was here? Or there was another thing that I was supposed to do which I'm forgetting, right? So you start with that hypothesis and say, if it is there, where is it? How do I build a connection with that? And that is your hypothesis. You start with that hypothesis, like in any other scientific pursuit. Then you do your own experiment. You don't need a lab, physics lab, AI lab. You don't need a lab. You don't need a programming language. You don't need any other skill set. All you need is these yogic techniques that are given to us by our rishis on, just sit and meditate. You don't need any props. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to even take a shower or wake up at 6 a.m. Just meditate, and it is very simple, right? So there are these techniques available to us on meditation and cleaning. And, these two techniques kind of are equivalent to how our body grows, right? So our body eats food and it excretes what is not needed. And as a baby, till we die, we do these two activities all the time. We take something from the world and we excrete what is not needed. So meditation and cleaning are the spiritual versions of the same thing, right? So in meditation, especially in heartfulness meditation, we receive what we call yogic transmission or pranahuti as a divine light, as a source of energy, which will help us, clean our stuff and nourish our soul. Like food nourishes our body, knowledge nourishes our mind. Similarly, transmission or yogic pranahuti nourishes our soul. So that is the first part, which is nourishment in the meditation. And the cleaning is the excretion of the mind, right? So, like I said, every day we come home and we do this. So it's a very simple two-stage practice. And once we start to, you see the scientific nature of it, right? We start to understand that, wow, this is a very interesting practice, very self-contained and complete practice, right? And initially meditation is hard, but as we do cleaning and all the clutter of the mind is gone, meditation becomes simpler and simpler, and these two practices complement each other as we go along. So here I am doing the experiment. I am the experiment. I am the experimenter myself, right? I am the observer also. So as you meditate, you don't need any other sensor. You don't need temperature, COVID testing kit, or BP or anything. You don't need anything. All you do is observe yourself, your own inner condition, before you meditate, during meditation, after meditation, throughout the day. How was my daily life today? Today I did meditate. What happened? Today I did not meditate. How was my life? How was I able to handle my situation? You observe. And as a scientist, we have to become great observers, right? And without judging, we have to observe. And therefore, in meditation practices, we observe ourselves, uh, and say, look, this is the effect of meditation, that I could handle this situation better. If I was not meditating, I would have become very angry, very upset, very anxious, very depressed. But because I'm meditating, I'm not affected by it. That observation will help you reinforce this idea that my hypothesis is correct, that I am actually a soul trapped in this body. Therefore, I need not worry about this body and material world that much. It is there to pay the bills, right? But my journey is somewhere else. My true journey is somewhere else, right? And finally, as a practitioner, we discover our true self. and say, oh, this I was thinking I was, but my true self is something else. I completely neglected it for all my life, right? My true sense of identity. Today, our identity is our job title. Shailesh Kumar, Chief Data Scientist in Reliance. That is not my true identity. Our sense of purpose is, to do something for Reliance Industries. That is, or to raise my children better, or to, do my this talk very well. We have this sense of purposes, but can we go deeper and think about what is my true sense of purpose and identity? Now, that answer will also not come from Facebook. That will come from within only. So it's a chicken and egg problem, that to know what meditation is and how to benefit from it and whether it is important, we have to meditate first to then get into that cycle of learning. Yeah. So that is what my submission is. It's one of the most scientific things. You don't need any external instruments, any external lab. You are the hypothesis, the experiment, you are the observer, and you yourself are the discovery here. All right, so now what we'll do, we have about 45 minutes left. So what we'll do is we'll close our eyes and we'll actually experience a little bit of meditation, right? And then in the next slide, I'll tell you how to follow up, what to do next. But let's experience meditation. And I want you to observe how your condition is now, right? So we have a certain condition. We have been attending these classes. We are worried about something else going on at home, at work, whatever. So we have a certain condition right now, right? Our mental, emotional condition. I want you to take a mental note of that. And then once we go through this relaxation and meditation exercise, I want you to go through the same mental note and say, how are you feeling after meditation? So this is the proof of the pudding. This is an actual experiment. Yeah. So let's do that. And hopefully, we'll all enjoy this. Yeah. So what we'll do in the relaxation part, I'm going to ask you to sit comfortably, close your eyes, and just make some suggestions like wiggle your toes, this and that. And you can just do that. And slowly you will get into a state of relaxation. It's a very important thing to come out of this world and go in a relaxed state of mind. So we'll do that. And immediately after relaxation, don't open your eyes. I'll ask you to start the meditation process. And what do we do in the meditation process is we turn our attention to our heart, right? And we say there is a source of light within my heart. And, that is why I'm here. That is why I'm alive. That source of light I have ignored for all my life, but it is craving for my attention. Like my child is craving for my attention, myself is also craving for my attention. And I've not given that attention to myself. I've given attention to everybody else out there, right? So now this is my private time. I want to spend some time with myself. There is a source of light in my heart. It is pulling me towards itself. We make that thought consciously. And then what will happen? A lot of other thoughts will come because your mind is not used to of this. Our mind is used of something tangible, something, very out there. We are not used to of not doing anything. So our mind will bring up thoughts. And these are your own thoughts that are coming. So don't worry about them. Thoughts will come. Just ignore them. To ignore means don't push them away and don't follow them. Just ignore your thoughts. So the first thing we learn in meditation is the art of ignoring, and automatically, therefore, we learn the art of paying attention. So it's a corollary, right? If you want to learn X, you learn the opposite of not doing X, and then X will automatically come. So learning how to focus is difficult, but learning how to ignore is easy. So we are going to ignore the thoughts that are coming, come back to the default thought that there's a divine light in my heart, and I want to pay attention to it. It is craving for my attention. I want to pay attention to it. And this is my private time. Once you understand this and practice this, and we'll see what happens. I'll say that's all, and we open our eyes, and then we are done. Yeah. All right. So let's start. So we'll start with relaxation, and then we'll go into meditation. We'll just take 10-15 minutes and close this. Yeah. All right. So please take a deep breath, sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Deep breath in and out. Turn your attention to your toes. Wiggle your toes. Feel the energy of the earth coming from Mother Earth to your toes, to your palm. From your feet, the energy is moving up. Your lower legs, your ankle are now relaxed. The energy is moving up to your knees. Your knees and your lower legs are now relaxed. Your the energy is moving up to your thighs, to your backbone, to your abdomen, and your lower body is now relaxed. Turn your attention to your chest area. Feel all the tension melting away. Your chest area is now completely relaxed. The energy is now moving to your upper arms, relaxing your shoulder muscles, your elbows, your lower arms, your fingers and palm are now completely relaxed. Bring your attention to your neck. All the stiffness in your neck is melting away. Your neck is now completely relaxed. Feel the energy moving up to your jaws, to your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your forehead, your ears, your cheekbones. Your face is now completely relaxed. The energy is moving up to your mind, clearing the mind, relaxing the mind. Your whole body is now completely relaxed. Turn your attention to your heart. Feel the presence of a source of light within your heart. That light is now pulling you towards itself. Feel the pull. Stay with this light for as long as you can. Ignore every other thought and come back to the source of divine light in your heart. Please start meditation. That's all. Gently open your eyes. So take a mental note of how do you feel now and how were you feeling before meditation and how were you feeling during meditation. Okay? So this was just a 10-minute sort of a trailer of what meditation is, heartfulness meditation is. I would like to hear from some of you, how did you feel? Was it easy to meditate? How do you feel now versus before? Um, any inputs, anything you want to share? Fine.
Was a nice
Sorry?
a nice experience. Uh, some of the thoughts were coming, trying
Yes,
to ignore it, but not completely because it is not we are not in a practice,
yes, yes.
right?
Okay. Yes, yes,
After this, feel relaxed comparatively before.
yes. Okay. Very good. And these thoughts were your own thoughts, right? So the idea is now it is important to understand that, like when we don't clean a house for some time, when the dishes are not done, or when, the streets are not cleaned for some time or anything, it naturally accumulates impurities, right? The second law of thermodynamics, entropy. So we naturally accumulate and all these impressions of our daily experiences. And when we sleep in our dream, sometimes they come out, or during meditation, as our mind tries to go in, it goes through a layer of subconscious mind to go to a superconscious mind. And during that journey, these thoughts come out, right? Because now I'm paying attention to that and it is looking at that. So these thoughts come out. So what happens over a period of time, uh, as we practice meditation, like you said, uh, slowly what happens, this layer of impurity start to reduce and the layer of purity starts to increase in us, right? So we have a very interesting notion called purity weaves destiny. And purity is really about removing all this junk that we have accumulated over many lifetimes so that we become as pure as a child, innocent as a child all over again, with no inhibitions, no prejudices, no worries, no anger, no ego. And that purity will lead to a very beautiful life, right? And, some of us cannot imagine this, but if you can imagine that purity and still be an adult and, do this, you'll feel very good about how pure your life can be. And there is a deliberate process in heartfulness meditation to clean your whole thing, right, system? Okay. Any other thoughts you want to share? Anybody else wants to share any experiences? Did somebody feel like they went to sleep?
Yes, sir. Slightly.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a condition of what we call the last stage of yoga. So in the yogic literature, they have defined the 8 stages in yoga, right? Ashtanga yoga. So the seventh stage is meditation, and the last stage is samadhi. So samadhi is the last stage, and within the first session, within 10 minutes of meditation, when you experience that state of where you were, you lost time, you were not really sleeping, you went somewhere else, really that is the touch of samadhi condition. right? And rishis would meditate thousands of years in the Himalayas to get to this taste of samadhi. So the system that we are talking about, heartfulness practice, it is based on this idea of transmission. There is a very beautiful energy that flows from nature to us when we meditate. Like there is solar energy, there is electrical energy, there is nuclear energy, there is magnetic energy. Similarly, there is something called yogic energy, right? And it's a very subtle form of energy. And when that starts to flow, then we start to feel lighter and lighter, and our system becomes purer and purer. So that yogic transmission is one of the key qualities and offerings of heartfulness meditation. Uh, and when people meditate here, you're not on your own. You are actually being helped by this yogic transmission to become better and better, right? So that is what it does to us. So I would invite all of you to kind of experience this. It's a very profound system. I've been practicing it for 20 years, and I've seen a lot of benefits. And I wish I do these sessions in all colleges. In Vardhaman College, we have done this many times to students. Our volunteers come there. We do this across the country, across the world, and it's completely a free of charge system. Yeah. So you can do it at home and all that. So let me just close with the last slide. So next step is, if you want to explore this meditation practice, you can go to this website. You can learn what it is, how it is done, what are the benefits and all that. Within Hyderabad, within Vardhaman College, we have a volunteer, Sister Madhavi. You can contact her and tell her you attended this session. You would like to start this practice. To start this practice, we need 3 consecutive days of sitting, and this can be done online like we are doing here. So meditation doesn't require any physical practice, togetherness, but you can practice with a trainer for 3 days, and they will prepare you to receive the transmission, and then you can practice on your own. We have an app called HeartsApp, which you can download from Play Store. It has a lot of talks and guided sessions like we did guided relaxation. Similarly, there are guided meditation, guided cleaning, and all of that. So you can download that. Yeah, and it's a free of cost system. Try it for 3 months and see how it works on you, and then you can decide to continue. Yeah? All right. So any last thoughts or questions? Uh, we ended a little early, so you get some time for lunch and all that. Um, any other thoughts, any questions I can answer for you?
How to control on anger, sir?
See, anger was actually one of the divine qualities. It is necessary for anger to be there because anger was needed for protection and safety. But
Because we all are having like busy lives, everyone is working in their home and the childrens are there, and if suppose the one situation is that is if we expect something more from our child, and the child is not doing well in his or her studies, then it is natural that every parent will scold him or her. So but
yes,
sometimes it is like it is,
sorry, you went on mute again.
or should we control on it?
Yeah. So see, control is not the right term. The right term is moderation. Moderation as in, you have to do certain things to tell our children what we expect of them. Now, there is a very thin line. Sometimes we do it for their benefit, and sometimes we do it for taking out our own frustration. And we that line we cannot cross, right? And I think it's natural to be angry, but when we start to mellow down because of meditation and such practices, our idea of ambition from ourselves, from our children, kind of becomes an idea of aspiration instead of ambition, right? And then we say you need to become a better person, you need to watch less TV, you need to do more studies, and we start to live our life more as an example to them, and they learn more from that, and slowly that turning of parenthood becomes easier and better, right? But it will come because we ourselves are satisfied in how we are, and we will be able to communicate that sense of purpose, calmness, and peace, radiate that like a magnet radiates it. And I've seen families where even one person meditates, everybody else benefits from it, right? And certain things, if you tell them again and again, they will become more irritated, you will become more irritated. So sometimes it is better to just set an example, set an expectation, and pray. And sometimes it is good to be angry, not to be angry, but to show anger are two different things. We have to learn the art of showing anger, but without being angry on the inside. And that is art we learn, because at that time, that is important, but without affecting us. And slowly these things will come. And we have special techniques for anger management. If you go to WhatsApp and all these things, we have techniques. People who are chronically angry, right? Sometimes we are angry in a normal way, but sometimes people are chronically, it becomes a disease. They just cannot control it. They become an angry person. So for them, there are special techniques designed in heartfulness to in yogic practices. One of them I can tell you is, whenever you feel angry, just pause for a second before jumping on it and start slapping and shouting. Just pause for a second and close your right nostril and breathe from your left nostril 3-4 times. And what will happen? The left nostril is what we call the Chandra Nadi, which is the moon thing, and it cools our system down and it brings down our temper. And then you start working on what you need to do. Because I think with anger, we lose our vivek, as they say, and what comes out is not healthy for anybody. And we all have experienced this. Even after 20 years of meditating, I still get angry. So there's no perfect state, but still we understand and appreciate both the value of anger. It is important, how to express it, and how to moderate it, and how to divert it in a positive way, right? Uh, and that is one way to think about it. I'll just give you one example. I was trying to teach my daughter how to do Python programming. She's in 9th grade, 8th grade now. And I'm telling her, let's do Python, let's do Python. Why don't you do it? I'm here, I can teach you, I'm at home. So I was getting irritated by that. And then what happened is I saw that she was playing Sudoku on her iPad. And then I realized that maybe this is the other way to teach her Python. I said, why don't we write a Python program that can solve any Sudoku problem? So sometimes if you just pause and wait, keep the ambition that you have, intention you have, but let nature tell you another way of achieving the same thing, right? And now I'm working with her and we are writing a Sudoku program in Python. She's learning Python in an indirect way, not like you have to learn Python, you see. So we can find ways when we learn the art of pausing to get the same result without applying anger as a tool. Yeah. So these are some of the things that will come automatically. Yeah. But yeah, I know it is a very frustrating time, and with COVID and online everything, it is very, very frustrating on everyone. Just a little bit of compassion and letting go is very useful at this time. Yeah. So there are attitude changes, behavior changes, and there are yogic techniques. All of them are available for anger management, depression management, all of that, right? Um, and to develop all the positive qualities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, any other questions, any other nagging things? If you want to talk to the trainer, again, let me show you the number. Please take down these numbers and email address. You can contact her, and she can help you with how to start the practice online, and then you can continue. Yeah, and be in touch. We are all a big family, the human race. We can help each other out in different ways, both technically and spiritually. So let us help each other out. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all. If there are no other questions, I'll take your leave. Yeah. Thank you, and hope to see you sometimes in person in the college itself. I'll come and give a talk on AI also. and that'll be a lot more fun too. Yeah. All right. Thank you all.
Saujanya ma'am, you can proceed further.
Yes. I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. Sailesh Kumar sir, for taking out the time from his busy schedule to provide us with such a valuable information on heartfulness meditation. We are honored, sir. Thank you for the enlightening lecture. Now I request our program coordinator to felicitate our distinguished speaker of the day, Dr. Shailesh Kumar sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shailesh Kumar sir, for accepting our invitation and given excellent lecture for us how to live happily and all. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
This is our small. Thank you, sir.
Very
Thank you
nice.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All the best. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Babu sir, you can close the session now.
Okay.
Or don't end the. Just close it. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sajjan ma'am, you can give the instruction to the participants.